What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Barbells and Trails podcast. I'm your host, Brett. We're back with another episode. I can't be as rambunctious today because I got to hold my microphone because I broke my stand.
Yeah, you broke it.
So. I did. But I got a guest today, and it is Riley yet again.
I'm here again.
We're back. I don't know what episode this is. 61, I think.
61.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know, I've been slacking recently. If you notice, it's been like
I have noticed.
Yeah, it's like every other week at this point.
Yep, probably.
That's one reason why I was like, if you're coming, why not just record?
Let's do it.
Because I'm like, Bailey gets annoying. So I just
that's true. What? Well, you did have Bailey. Noah was, what, 2 episodes ago?
Yes, it was. Which is crazy how long it's been now since he's been home. It's moved actually pretty quickly.
Like he was here like yesterday.
I know. It was kind of a crazy time.
Yep.
So, since you have last been on it, and that's another thing, it doesn't feel like it's been 3 months or whatever since you've been on.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
it feels like it's been like a month.
A few weeks.
Yeah. So, lots happened since then. Number one, you are now a graduate. Nothing too interesting, just high school.
Really. I'm just working a lot now. So.
That's true. So with everything going on, how was graduation? I was there at your open house. How was everything? Because there was it's always a big week.
Yeah, so that was a very busy week because my open house was like a week after that my ceremony.
Yeah, it was.
And ceremony went well. It was a little rough setting everything up. But
where was it at? Was it similar to Noah's?
Not where Noah was outside because of COVID, but ours was actually inside in a church. So it was a really nice church too.
You know what? I actually forgot it was in the middle of COVID when he graduated.
Yeah.
I thought they just decided to do an outdoor graduation. I didn't know it's because of
every
COVID
seat
restrictions.
Was like 3 feet apart from each other.
Were they really? I guess I didn't remember that.
It was so dumb. Noah's kind of sucked. Noah's did suck, but
hey, it was on the radio for some reason. Do you remember that? They broadcasted it. I remember them literally saying, by the way, for anybody that's not here, let people know they can listen to the graduation on blah, 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 whatever, like 94.3. And I'm like, what? It was like, your graduation is recorded. There's 12 people on the stands.
That's weird.
I was like, you guys are broadcasting this? I was like, interesting.
I don't even know. Was it only 12 in Noah's?
Yeah. Pretty sure it was 12 people.
We have like 30 or so.
I'm pretty sure Noah's was small. If I remember correctly, it was small.
I think Noah's class was pretty big, but there's only like 12 people that actually did the ceremony.
Yeah.
I think we had about like 36 in my class.
Okay, so that's not terrible because honestly, Tri Central isn't very big.
Mm-hmm.
Like their classes when they graduate, it's like 50.
Yeah.
Or something ridiculous. And even though it's so close, I don't think I've ever realized that their school's either that small or the population is that small. Because I was like, they're similar to us. But no, they're like a third of the size.
Yeah, I kind of think Tri Central and Tipton should just combine into one.
They talked about it, but to be able to do it, maybe soon.
They should.
Because now Tipton's numbers are down. I think
Tri Central's numbers are always down.
They've dropped. Like my Bailey's graduating class was like, I feel like it was 120 or even lower, and mine was like almost 160. Yeah. So I mean they've lost in 4 years. They've lost a decent number of kids.
I feel like a lot of people actually is homeschooling.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Now.
I mean, between that and I think just in general, people are like, I'll go to a bigger school. I'll go somewhere else. So I think it's a combination. Sure. I mean, we even saw
Hamilton Heights is getting more people though.
Yes, and part of it is people moving from Tipton. I mean, so high schools around here, at least mine, isn't the only thing that's been dropping. Our fare has been going downhill. And this was also your last year.
It was my last year. I'm just in the best year ever.
Well, that's kind of what happens when you turn 18 and graduate. Like that's a lot of stuff that happens at once. It's the last of a lot.
It's just something. Fair was, I don't know. It was fair. It was
I mean,
pretty bad.
I don't think it was bad in the sense of what happened at the fair. I think it just in general the fair was kind of crappy.
It's just we had no carnival. We had heck, even Battle of the Barns was terrible. It was kind of bad. Pig Show was down. Everything was just plummeted.
I know I had the last good year. I really did. I really did. And it wasn't even the best year we had my 10 years, but it was still like the best one, easily.
Best one. I mean, I feel like...
numbers on everything was down. Like 4-Hers. There's still... The thing that did surprise me was there was still a fairly large amount of 10-year members that were finishing out.
I mean, makes sense, though.
But
I knew there was quite a few
you weren't sure about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the same thing happened to me, I think. That there was a couple people I was like, who are you?
Right.
But, yeah, no, everything seemed to be low, and I don't know where everybody went. I doubt they went south. I feel like if anybody went anywhere, it would have been to Howard County. But, yeah, it was kind of weird. Not a lot necessarily happening at our local fair, sadly.
Yeah.
It was just...
Yeah, I don't know where they went, but...
I know, it's dropped quite a lot. I mean, our fair used to be interesting. I remember a guy almost got beat half to death behind the pole strip like 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, you probably don't remember this.
I do not know.
It might have been even longer because I don't know if I was a 4-H'er at that point. But I remember people like talking about it. The guy ended up in the hospital. Like, that's how bad it was.
Dang.
He got like beat with a tire iron or something ridiculous. Yeah. And I don't know what it was over, but I just remember like there was a lot that used to happen at the fair back in the day.
I mean, yeah,
like,
I knew
there was just a lot more.
I just
shit
feel
going
like
on. Because there's more people.
Older generations too. They were like up to so much more crap than we were.
100%. But it also just like when I was younger, I remember it just being in general more busy. It was packed. There's just a lot more happening. So I think that's definitely part of what's changed is that just the lack of people. There's going to be less drama. Not saying there's not drama.
Yeah.
Because I think actually hear about stuff more because there's less people. So it's like less people. So if something happens between two people, everyone hears about it.
Yeah.
I feel like back in the day, it took a minute for stuff to spread at one point at the fair. But I remember when I didn't realize that it had been 13 years since Kim lost her toe. She mentioned that the other day, and I was like, that was 13 years ago. I was like, so I would have been a first-year member. I was like, dang. I didn't think I was a first year.
I would have been 5 years old.
I know. Dude. And I'm like, but I remember it I remember hearing about it. I remember I wasn't there. I didn't witness it, but I remember people were like, and I don't even know if I really, really knew who Kim was that well at the time.
Right.
But I remember them being like, yeah, she's in the hospital. Her pinky toe popped off and one's hanging on. Like, it's barely on there.
Ooh.
And they sewed it back on. Like, and so I was like, well, that's why I guess you don't move steers and flip-flops. But yeah, I remember when that happened.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do remember about hearing that. Oh my gosh.
And it was like a fair rumor because I was like, where was I? Because I don't remember this. Like, I didn't see it.
Wow.
But yeah, there's like, I remember running around with people all the time. I remember at one point spying on my not real cousin, but someone that was up for the summer, and I had a crush on her. And she's hanging out with older guys. So me and her younger brother she's not. Like, okay, not actually.
Just saying.
Complicated situation. Okay. She was the kid to my not real uncle's girlfriend. Like, he's like one of the family friends that you call uncle.
Okay,
like that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Was she
hot, though? No blood relationship.
Was she hot, though?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I remember we followed her around at one point because we were like, she's hanging out with these older guys. Like, she was like 13, I think, but she didn't look it, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
And so she was hanging out with like 16, 17-year-olds.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, technically it's not wrong, but you're pushing it. Like, it's getting close. Yeah, close. You're like, I don't know if you shouldn't really be doing that, buddy.
Yeah.
And well, let's just say we caught her making out with someone actually.
Who?
It wasn't your brother or anything. It was Brandon Garst. Yeah. This is a long time ago. Yeah. So he would have been
what's her
15,
name?
16. Mystique. Yeah, she doesn't live here.
I didn't know if I knew her, but wow.
Yeah, and because that's the thing, we couldn't find them, all this stuff. Like, she wasn't answering phone calls, so we're like trying to track her down. So we're literally like scouring the fairgrounds, and this is during the tractor pull. We come around, and they're literally on the back of the old what is it called? Like the pole shed, over there, making out. And her brother didn't even see it. I just happened to glance over, and I was like, that's Mystique. So we like kind of wander off before they saw us, and I was like, dude, she's right there. She's making out with what, like, this guy. I don't know. Like, I didn't know Brandon, and and he's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. And so we went back. We did kind of rat on her, but I mean, I also know how her mom and my uncle was. Uncle, remember? Yeah. But
yes, I remember.
And so we were just like, well, we gotta say something. And it's also his sister, so I was like, you say. But then at one point they literally like brought me into it, and I was like, oh fuck, and all this stuff. But then like at one point they didn't believe us, and they were lying, and like all this stuff, and like kind of yeah I remember. Okay, so they came back. We told them it was fair drama. There's always something going on with somebody. Great. And so they came back, and she was like, oh, crying and all this stuff, and they were like kind of yelling at her and mad about the guy, and like told him to fucking leave. Like, I mean, you know who it was, and then she like said like, no, we didn't do this, blah blah, and and I think I actually can't remember what happened because it's so long ago, but you know what? Thinking back on it, I might have said that I'm not 100% sure what happened because I didn't completely want to throw her under the bus because I had a crush on her.
Right.
And so I can't actually remember because I know they asked me directly trying to get my side of the story to make sure like who to believe. And I think they actually ended up believing her for a little bit, where it wasn't until like the next day or 2 days later that my dad was talking to my actual uncle who was at the pole and over there, and it got brought up, and he's like, oh yeah, I saw them over there. Like, I saw her and Brandon making out. And my dad was like, so she lied and got away with it. And so then he went back and told the parents and was like, yeah, no, like my uncle, which they knew, and he's like, yeah, no, he saw them. Like, it was her. Like, she was over there, and they were making out, and the kids weren't wrong. And they were like, oh shit. So at one point, no one wanted to say anything to Brandon. Brandon was still hanging out around her with us. And my dad at one point like snapped and basically told him to fucking leave. Dude. And like all this shit, grabbed him by his shirt, and literally I know he scared the living piss out of Brandon at the time.
That's actually
and he fucking left. So there for a minute, when I saw Brandon, it was awkward because it was like, this happened when he was 15. I was 13 or whatever.
So you actually knew it was like
a little later on, when I didn't know he was like Hope's brother or anything. I didn't know Hope at the time.
But you knew it, his name? Like,
I don't think necessarily at the time. It was later, and then I was like, that's who that was. I was like, oh fuck.
Oh my gosh.
And because like I would have seen him at like the pool party and stuff and stuff like that. And then at one point I ran into like Noah, and then you guys started hanging out with Hope. So then I met Hope, and then
you're like, oh,
found out who her brother was, and I was like, oh shit. So I don't even know if he necessarily remembers it because I'm so long ago at this point. He probably does. But
he was 16, right?
Yeah, 15, 16. Yeah, somewhere around there.
He's only like 28, something like that.
He's not that old.
Is he?
No, he's only like, I think 3 or 4 years older than me.
So
he's like 25, 26, I think.
I was close enough.
And yeah, so so that's why there for a while it's like, oh shit, that's the same guy like from years ago, and I know that I'm pretty sure he probably recalls my dad grabbing him by the shirt.
Oh, I would.
Oh yeah. I mean, all of us were just like, it happened within a split second. We're literally hanging out at the pig pens, you know where ours were, and literally all of us are like, he just did that, like literally we're just like in shock because we didn't expect it, and it just came out of nowhere, and we're just like looking at one another like, did you see that?
Crap,
like holy shit. And so of course I think that pissed Mystique off because I don't know, she's 13 and fucking in love or some shit already at the time, but it is what it is. It's always fair stuff. There's always fun stuff. See, I miss all that kind of shit. Like, that was fun.
Yeah,
like,
but
nowadays it's just kind of sad.
I don't even know what happened this year. Like,
well, hi.
It's Dees.
You popping in again?
Dees.
Is that 2 episodes in a row?
Yeah. Anything to say?
Yeah.
No.
He got nervous.
Left him speechless.
Yeah, right. Hey, you're in the middle of the shot, sir.
What are you doing? Huh? Oh, stretching?
Yoga. your tail is. You are a goofy dog.
It's like Scooby-Doo.
Oh, I just realized something we can talk about. So me and Bailey kind of talked about it. My addiction slowed down, but I have a slight golf addiction.
Oh, really? I did not know.
Yeah,
wow.
you kind of know, but
yeah, I knew.
well, let's just say there's been a couple weeks that like I golfed 3 times in 5 days, so it was like literally every other day. Money adds up, and I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the golf courses around me, it's like 120 to play 18." I was like, "Yeah, if that was the case, I wouldn't be into golf." That's why I love where we are, because it's actually pretty cheap when it comes to golf.
What was it? 15?
For 9, it's 20.
20. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty cheap. Yeah. So for his was for 18, so like 18 at Tipton's like 36.
Oh, that's
so
not bad at all.
That's a lot more to go other places. And that's why we've literally chosen not to go to certain golf courses, because we know how much they are. And so Freddie, which I need to get on this podcast, he got me into golf. He just basically mentioned it every day practically for weeks. Like, hey, you want to go golfing? You want to go golfing? Like, come with me. Leave work early. Come on, let's go golf. And I'm like,
did he leave work
all the time?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess he's salary.
He's salary as well.
He doesn't
care.
So
he would leave like an hour early or something and go to the golf course. And so eventually I was like, fuck it, let's go. And so I went. And so at one point I was only doing like 1 day a week, maybe twice. But I was using his clubs, all this stuff. We played for a while, and then I got Kelvin into it because I invited him out. And then we went golfing, and then I invited Josh. And Josh hadn't golfed in 6 years. And then we went out. So now after all that kind of happened, it's kind of crazy because it's like I don't feel like I started golfing in March or whenever it was. But, yeah, it has been that long. And we basically golfed 18 at least every weekend. Not necessarily all 4 of us, but some of us have at least. And that's nice. Yeah, I can turn it away.
No, that's true.
But so we kind of got into it. I actually used other people's golf clubs for a long time. I stole Adam's set and used it. Gotcha. All sorts of stuff. I don't know how much money I spent playing golf this year. Like literally, we were like, we should have probably used and bought the season pass, considering how much we've golfed.
Oh, they have a season pass.
Yeah, and it adds up. I mean, when you do it 3 times, I mean, like you've spent $100 that week just golfing. Like it adds up quick.
Yeah.
And then like 3 weeks ago I bought clubs and everything else. So I dropped $500 before 9 o'clock one morning off of Amazon, ordering clubs and tees and all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? Kelvin literally got a set like after our second time golfing. And he was like, well, I can see that this is going to be something that we do fairly often, so I'm going to get a set. I was like, shit, you got a point, but I didn't want to drop the money at the time.
Right.
So this year I've probably spent over $1,000 just golfing easily, between everything involved, between buying balls and everything and golfing itself. So Freddie's even worse than me. Like he's literally done days where he's done 5 days in a row, not necessarily 18s, because that's another thing. It's not necessarily that golfing is super expensive, but when you say you've golfed 3 times, that means you spent over. It depends on how many. Like if you do 18 or 9, but typically 18 might take you, depending on how busy the course is and how you play, 4 to 5 hours, and 9 can take 2 plus.
Yeah.
So
it's still like 6 hours.
It's a lot of time.
A lot of golf
that you might end up spending golfing.
Fun,
it is fun, and I always thought I would hate it. I was like, this is
no.
such an old man sport.
Exactly.
I've never fucking played golf.
But then you asked me to come golfing. I'm like, screw it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's different. Because the first time I ever played was actually with my grandpa. So it was just me and him. So I'm sitting there. This would have been 3 years ago or whatever it was. So I'm 18 or something. And I'm like, sure, I'll go with you. Like, because he was getting into golf at the time. And I was like, why not? And it wasn't, not saying it wasn't fun, but I got frustrated because I sucked.
Yeah.
And then also I was just with my grandpa. So it wasn't that fun. And then when me and Freddie went, I was like, okay, that was actually kind of fun. Plus I'm 21 and I can drink, and you do little things that makes it even more fun, and you're like, this is amazing. I love golfing. And so I've kind of really gotten into it. Not really into it. Like I bought foam balls, but like Freddie bought a pit, like Kelvin bought foam balls. He bought gloves the other day, which is so funny. Yeah, like there's golf gloves.
Oh, wait, yeah.
He bought custom, like not custom tees, but he got like specific tees. Freddie bought a like a putting green that he has in his house now, like a little putting green, so he can practice putting and all this shit. And like he just went and played a scramble today and a bunch of other stuff, and he's played the past 3 days now, and he's playing tomorrow with us. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
He's just good at golf, I guess.
But the thing is, the best I played was months ago. Like, maybe not overall score, but I've gotten 2 birdies, and I haven't gotten a single birdie since. And I've only had, I think, 2, maybe 3 pars this year. Like, I've gotten a lot better from when I started.
Well, yeah.
But I'm still not that great. And
it just takes time.
Oh, 100%. But it's, like, so much fun. Like, we're already talking about, like, oh, maybe we'll go play mini golf to work on our putting game one weekend. Or what are we going to do in the off season when everything's closed? I was like, we got Top Golf. We got golf simulators, boys. What are we doing?
Oh, my gosh.
So we're already planning months ahead of, like, we're going to have to play.
Top Golf is expensive, too.
It is, but when you think about it on how much you spend to play 18, it kind of evens out.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
Because it's like when you get 4 people to go to Top Golf and you split it for 4 hours, it might be $40 a person. So in the end, that's basically what you're paying to do 4 hours on a golf course playing 18.
Yeah, true.
So in the end, it's not much worse. And if you bring your own club, so you can still use your own shit and still get used to it.
They do let you do that?
So like it is nice, and it especially gives you the chance to play in the winter and stuff like that. And I haven't been in a long time, but it's fun. I haven't been in a year.
I haven't been in a while either.
So it is quite addicting. And like he said, this is the reason I went on this whole rant, was to get to the point of I kind of dragged you into getting into, like, not getting into it, but at least going once. Because I mentioned it a couple times. Yeah. And I was like, hey, come on, you wanna go today? And you're like, how long will we be gone? I was like, only a couple hours. Like, all right, let's go. Yeah. And so you have played your first game of golf.
I did.
How was it for you?
You know, I sucked, but it was actually really fun. Now,
you know what? Yes.
I've played baseball like all my life.
Yeah, 100%.
So that just
as soon as you grabbed the club, I was like, baseball.
Yep. That's one thing I'm gonna have to get used to, because you're not used to like keeping this arm straight at all. It's always been, but
see, that's the thing. I've played baseball, but it's been years. But then at the same time, like, yeah, there's little things that you gotta change that works for golf that you don't realize, and it does kind of feel funky.
It does.
But once you do it over time, you do get used to it, where you naturally will do it. You're like, yeah, this makes sense. If I did it otherwise, it doesn't feel right. And so, like, for your first time, you really didn't do that bad. Like, I feel like that's where most people end up, is about where you did on your score. So, but it is a challenge, especially not understanding, like, the clubs, not knowing your distances. Like, I'm still learning my distances on specific clubs, where I'm like, oh, maybe this will work. And then I say something to one of the guys, and they're like, yeah, don't use that club. I'm like, oh. like you still, there's a lot, and it takes time to dial stuff in for sure. But it is a fun sport. It really is. Like, I see why people get into it 100%.
I actually feel like a lot of people getting into it this year. Like, a lot of people my age. Because, like, we went to the golf course, and it was just, like...
so there's more people younger than you realize that play golf. Like, there's a lot more. And I think it is the same camaraderie thing. And I think that part of it is the people that play that are older did exactly what we were doing when we were in our 20s, but they just kind of keep doing it when they're old. And also, one thing Bailey said, which makes a lot of sense, is that most people that are retired and old golf in the middle of the work day. That's why you never see them when we might golf.
It makes sense.
And I'm like, that's true, because it's like those people are probably, if they're retired and they're doing whatever, or maybe they do it for business, they're going to go golf in the middle of the day during the week instead of actually going on the weekends, because they know that that's when everybody else is going to be doing it. I'm like, that does make sense. But it's a lot of fun. So I would like to get you into it more a little bit and go to Tidden a couple more times. I would like to take you to Elwood, but I kind of want you to just get used to golfing in general, because Elwood's a hard course. The front nine, not necessarily super difficult.
Well, you just say it's
the back nine is a bitch. like you gotta cross creeks, you gotta go up on these hills to get onto the greens. It's rough. Like it really is. And like even Freddie and Josh, who are the better ones out of the four of us, they typically do way worse on the back than they do the front. And so if you ever do it, or we ever get you out there, we definitely got to get you to play more golf games before we take you out there, because it will tear you apart. But it's a lot of fun. It really is.
It is fun.
That's the thing where I'm like, at this point, Freddie, I think, would love to get us to go more every once in a while. But he also has multiple golf friend groups.
Does he?
So that's one reason why he golfs as much as he does. Where I'm like, you know what? I kind of need to slow down because, one, this costs money.
Right.
And then, two, it does take up a lot of time where I'm like, okay, if I'm at least going on an 18 every weekend and maybe a 9 sometimes in the middle of the week, not bad.
Yeah, right. That's like
there's literally like one day I did like a 9 on one day, 9 like a day and a half after, 18 on a Sunday, and then we played again like Monday. We played 9. And it was like, holy shit,
it's a lot.
It's like I just spent like $150 golfing in the past 4 days. But I mean, it is a lot of fun. It really can be, especially when you play with people. That's fun. So it's a good time. So all right. So now that you are graduated and you're an adult now, do you feel different? I asked the same question to Bailey.
Honestly, do not.
You never do. You always think you will, but you don't. It's just kind of like when people are like, crap. You're 30 now. Do you feel like you're 30?
I feel like
you're
like 30. I probably feel a little different. My back would kill me, but
I hope not. You're 30, but that's the thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's your birthday. Do you feel any different?" It's like, no shit. It feels like the next day. Yeah. Like that's all it is. So there's really not a lot of changes. No, I know. Really. It's like you don't even have the benefits of being able to buy cigarettes anymore. I was the last generation to be able to do that. Yeah, before, like I literally had, what would it have been? 7 months before they changed it, because it was at the end of the year where I couldn't anymore. I mean, I didn't, but
I can buy lottery tickets now. So.
You can buy lottery tickets. You know what? I don't think I've actually ever bought a lottery ticket since I've been able to.
I've never.
See, if anything, I'm just storing up the energy. So when I first buy my own lottery ticket as someone that can legally buy one, it's a winner. That's what it is. Yeah. The longer you withhold, so I'm gonna be like 60. I better win the Powerball. Like that's what it is. It's like I've waited 40 years to buy my first ticket. There's so much luck and anticipation put into this damn ticket.
Yes.
I'm winning millions.
I even know it. As soon as he turned 18, he bought it. But
see, all the luck.
He didn't win it.
Yeah, he didn't save it up.
Yeah.
Like he didn't juice it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dog is slightly under the couch right now.
Honestly, I wish I could be a dog. Just lay around.
Bro, that'd be the best life. Okay. I mean, you don't live the longest, but you live a pretty good life.
You do.
You really do. Well, not all of them, but you know what I mean. Most.
If I could be Diesel, I would.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, that's true. Because, like, you just get pampered. People pet you and scratch you all the time. And you get to chase birds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can be out in the snow and you never really get that cold.
Right.
You can shit wherever you want. It's kind of nice. Maybe. I don't know. Like, he doesn't have to wipe.
I mean,
yeah, at least he's not like a French bulldog. Like, I'm not wiping your ass, okay? Yeah, don't look at me like that.
He's just dead asleep.
He's like, I am not dealing with you right now. We have people coming over, so you better wake up, sir.
Oh, he will. He definitely will.
He will. But so being graduated, is there anything that you're looking forward to now that you don't have to deal with school?
I mean, honestly, you don't know how much you miss, like, not school, but the community when you go to school.
No, 100%.
And that's what I feel like I'm going to miss the most. I mean, I feel like since I've been homeschooled, but we went to a homeschool group, of course.
Yeah.
I feel like once I see, like, people at, like, co-op and stuff, I'm going to be like, dang, I kind of miss that. But
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
I feel like at first, I'm going to be like, ha, suckers, I'm working right now. I'm getting paid. But then again, I'm just like, I'm missing that opportunity, though.
Yes and yes, I think. Like, it's a little bit of both. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, I see what you're saying. I mean, it just depends. on how close you really were with some of the people you went to school with.
True.
And you realize that at one point life takes over, and like there's the majority of the people I graduated with I haven't seen since graduation.
I mean, that makes sense. I've been in public school. I've been in a homeschool. Everybody is like
a little more tight,
at least closer. Yeah, and know each other like a little better. I feel like, but
I would probably say so, and part of that is you guys having a smaller class in general,
right?
But yeah, I mean, like if I would have went to Tri Central, if I didn't talk to some people I graduated with, it probably would be a little different, just because so many less people.
Makes sense.
Like when I heard about people that I went to school with that used to go to like Indy, and there's over 1,000 people in the high school or some shit. I'm like, well, or even multiple hundreds of people just for like that class. I'm like, holy shit! Like, yeah, there's literally people you might graduate with that you don't know their names.
Yep.
And it's like that there's definitely a bigger disconnect.
Heck, even my class, since co-op and my whole graduation class was completely different because you good?
Yeah.
Because co-op's just like whoever wants to show up, and then graduation's just like whoever's a senior can come. But there was totally people I had no idea who they were in my class, and then like most of us went to Florida, not everybody.
Yeah.
For my class, and that's when we actually got to know each other.
Oh, like the senior trip? Yeah. That makes sense.
When we actually got to know like everybody so much better. So much better.
I know what you mean. So I think it won't be as big as a situation as you realize. Like you're always gonna have things like you regret. I don't necessarily think I regret not going to college. I do think I could have had a lot of cool experiences, but at the same time, compared to certain people that like I went to school with, like at the time, I don't know if I would have thrived as well as they could. Yeah. Like, cause like there's so many. Like I didn't have I guess you wanna know what it was. I was the kid that never necessarily had a clique. If you know what that means.
For college.
No, like in school, like where you have like your thing that like that's you. Like I never really had a clique.
I never really did either.
Where there's certain people that would be going to college that would be like, oh, they'd immediately find people like, oh, I played football at high school, or maybe they are on the football team at the college. So like that's immediately you got a group of people that's like similar lifestyles, good friends already, pretty much. Like you're good.
Since I've been
like
in high
band
school,
or something like that, or I was.
I've always like played sports my entire life, but I'm always like just in the middle. I'm just like the regular kid that plays baseball or basketball. I'm not like I average 12 points a game. Yeah, 14 points a game maybe. So like just average.
I get that. So yeah, there's just like certain people that I know that would have naturally just found their spot or something with it a little better. And then like we've talked, I feel like I would do better. I would have done better in college now, or even a year ago, or a year and a half ago, than I would have straight out of high school. And
that's another reason why I'm just taking a year to see if I really want to go to college, because I still have that opportunity.
Yeah, everybody does. You can go to college whenever. Like I've even told Noah, like I plan on possibly getting a degree eventually, but I don't think I'll actually go to school at this point.
I'm just probably doing it online.
Yeah, and do stuff that way, because it's not that I don't necessarily want to learn, but I also want to spend my money on something that's going to be used and make sense. Like if I was just going to go, it doesn't make sense for me.
That's 100%. Like that's why I'm still taking a year. I don't know exactly if I still want to go to college, but if there's something that stands out and I can get it paid for with all my
scholarships and everything. Yeah.
So
well, and then also that it's like if I wanted to go to college for the experience, I probably also would want to go to a community college, or necessarily something super local where it's like if I was gonna go, I want to like fully kind of experience it. Yeah, and go away like a little bit.
Maybe D3 college, maybe like D3, D2.
Yeah. So there's still
colleges.
There's still a lot.
I don't think I'll go to like a completely like D1, like
what would you
Indiana University.
Or would you try to go into sports, or would you just?
I would
go for college.
I think I would like go for college, but if they
gave you the opportunity,
then I might go for just sports. Even if I don't start, even if I don't play, I feel like just the whole
at least try,
and the whole community. I feel like it would just be a blast. Just in the sports genre.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I also think, like you said, where you're like, oh, I'm gonna miss like having that sense of community in high school. You do a little bit. I think honestly, the main thing you'll eventually miss is the simplicity of being back in high school. Eventually, that's what you'll miss. But you end up building that sense of community at one point with like your coworkers. Like at one point,
right?
You end up making friends where you are. So it's like eventually, it's like, okay, I had my high school friends, but in the end, that was definitely the portion of life where it's like once everybody gets to that point, you don't necessarily see everybody again unless they happen to be nearby or whatever. Where it just depends on how close of a friend you were. I mean, the same thing can happen at a job because it's like if you leave that job, you might lose those coworkers.
That's what happened when I left Hobbs.
And it just depends on how close you are with that person on if you want to be like stay in touch, and that does happen. But you do build up a community with the people you work with at one point pretty strongly, and you end up finding friends there. Like you don't realize how much regular life ends up being like high school anyways in certain instances depending on where you work.
Like my job right now, I feel like definitely not because I'm just on my own by myself.
That's what I thought.
So I'm just like, I mean, I love being on my own.
Yeah,
like
it's
just
not bad.
But like there's just like that point
you're missing like a little.
Yeah, you're just like bit. I kind of want to talk to somebody, and this kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's definitely part of like the things to talk about. Like that's one reason like me and my buddies have talked about like where I work and everybody has issues with where they work, but I think one of the best parts about where I work right now is definitely the people, and I've even talked about that with other people that still work there or have left, and they're like, yeah, that's like one of the hardest things. Wasn't necessarily the job itself, like that wasn't the best thing because maybe I could have made more somewhere else or whatever, but the biggest thing people are like when they talk about where I work in that company is in general the people. They're like people's great. The people's what makes a big portion of like why you work with them and stuff, and it's either the people you're close to or not, like that it's that. And even Kelvin's talked, which I need to get him on here too, is
you say that all the time.
I know I do. I don't know how to ask because I feel weird about it. I
Kelvin,
can kind of
hey, get over here now, podcast.
Yeah, fuck, I guess you're right. Hey, trick him to come out and swim and then be like, haha, your swim trunks are tied to a lock that releases in an hour and a half, so that means we got to record for an hour and a half.
Can't invite Alex though.
Then she's just stuck sitting out there
with Diesel.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah.
But that is one thing. Is he's like, well, yeah. He's like, one of the best parts about working there was the people you worked with. He's like, and he's talking to Bailey, and he's like, yeah, I met Brett there. I met like Freddie there. I met Josh. I met a few of these people. Yeah. I didn't even necessarily know them that well, but it's like you find some really cool people.
That's
that
what
you end up
Evan was saying. Since Evan's situation where since he worked with like in the same
and he
business,
didn't even work there that long.
He didn't, but like where he worked, he was with other people, and he made like pretty good friends. And he says like, I miss that place all the time, but he doesn't want to go back since of his situation.
Yeah. I mean, like, even Andrew, which I can't remember if you've met, but a guy I worked with, like, down at the Chocolate Moose and stuff.
I think you talked about
it. Like, I was pretty good friends with a lot of people there in general.
It seemed like you could, because it's just like a small little business.
Yeah. Yeah, like, there was only one guy I kind of had beef with at one point. But,
oh, really?
Yeah. But for the most part, like, it was a great place to work, and it was fun. And, like the pay wasn't great, but in general, it was the people you work with.
Every coffee shop though, like I don't think you're gonna get paid.
Well, no, of course not. But Starbucks is where you get paid the most easily.
True.
But no, like it's like one of the people that I was really close with that I probably would have like reached out to more and tried hanging out with a little bit. He ended up moving to like Arizona, so it's like well that kind of was rough. But then also me moving back and like me and Andrews talked, and he came up here and visited one time and stuff like that, and stuff like. But he's still 2 hours away, and I mean we could stay more connected. But also, he does suck at responding to text messages. Like I'm not the best, but sometimes when I don't respond, it's purposefully where it's like I'm putting that on hold and then I'll get back to it. Some people just like never respond. Yeah, and I'm like, do you not see notifications? Do you not look at this?
I feel like a lot of people just like reads the message. Okay. and then just
they never
totally forget.
And every once in a while, I do that.
Yes, exactly. I do that too. But
at the same time, like if it's someone asking me something or asking how I'm doing, like, oh fucking answer the question.
I'm usually the person, like, somebody's texting me and I'm on my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just respond right now.
Yeah.
But
and that's the thing where it's like sometimes, or even if it's like on Instagram or something, it's like I know you've been on Instagram, and I know you get the notification that I texted you or something.
Yeah.
But there's no like
now Instagram
response.
I kind of suck at.
And every once in a while that happens, but
I'm like kind of used to like that little notification
because of other stuff or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh.
It might not be a message. Yeah.
Yes. I don't really get notifications when people text me for Instagram, actually.
Yeah. So
I noticed that.
So like for him, it's like there's the people even after you work somewhere for a while that like you're closer friends with, and you end up like staying more in touch with them. Like there's always like those specific people. You're always gonna lose people along the way, but there's definitely like the people that stand out the most. Like Kelvin left Reynolds, but we ended up becoming better friends after he left, which is kind of funny because even when we worked together there for a while, we weren't even that close.
Right.
But I think one of the reasons why we kind of got together was because of our like similar age. Yeah, honestly, I'll be honest. The first time I met him, I thought he was like 26. 100%. Yeah, I mean, the first time I met him, like I was like, dude, this guy could be 24. He could be 27. Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
He has such a deep voice.
Yeah, that too. That's true.
A thick, just like, it's not really an accent, I guess, but like
very monotone. Yeah, kind of like
it's just thick.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But yeah, like and then one day I just happened to ask him. I was like, "Hey, how old are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm 21." I was like, "Oh,
what?
Well, fuck, I'm 21." Like at the time, I was like, "Oh shit, I thought you were like 4 years older than me or some shit." Like, fuck, I thought you were an old man. And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess we can talk more or something."
Like. Oh, okay. You want to go golfing?
Yeah, right. But that's the funny thing is, it's like you meet different people. Like one of my good friends now, and one of my closest coworkers at work is like older than my dad, and another one's in his 40s. Like you just meet different people.
Like when I worked at Hobbs, I mean, I didn't really know JR. I mean, I knew him.
Yeah, you knew him. Yeah.
But I always had this like, it's JR. Yeah.
You never were like around.
But like my boss was so much worse than JR that I'm just like, I love JR. He's kind of great. I wish he would work every day, but once he left,
especially when you like, there's people you like to work with. Like I haven't had a shift job in forever, but I know what you mean. Back when I had jobs where it's like, okay, what's the shift looking like this week? It's like, okay, I'm working this time. Who am I working with? And then you look, and you're like, yes, like okay, I'm closing with him. Or I'm opening with this person. Yeah. Cool. We get to work together for like 4 hours or something, and then they leave. And then it's like, oh, who's next? Like who am I finishing off with? And
you're like, oh, dang it,
damn it. Yeah. There's always that one. You're like, shit.
Like, yeah. It's always that one awkward person.
Yeah. But there's always like some people where you see your name's next to them, and you're like, yes.
I never really.
It's gonna be a good shift.
I never really had a job like that.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
I just.
Well, you need to. We gotta find you one.
I'm fine with my job.
Part time.
Dude. What, Saturdays now? Jeez.
Yeah, just yeah.
Coffee shop. There we go.
It's fun. It is actually pretty fun. It can be fun. Especially
the nearest coffee shop
unlimited
we have is
coffee
in
shop.
Noblesville, though.
No. There's the one in Arcadia. There's the one in Cicero. Tipton really doesn't have a coffee shop.
Tipton doesn't.
I think they have
Elwood
Quick Cup.
doesn't.
They have
Quick
Cups.
Not really.
Bro, honestly, I if I had the money, I would invest in putting in a coffee shop in Tipton. Because if you had a good one, and there's those old buildings downtown, some that are empty, I'd do it.
I don't know.
Because it would do well. We don't have one where you could sit down. Like even the one in Cicero, really good, and it's even a more populous area where there's a decent amount of money. You're really close, but it's so small. Have you ever been in there?
Yeah.
It's tiny.
In Cicero?
Yeah. Like the coffee shop. Like it's literally like 3 tables. Like
really?
it is small shit.
Is it good?
But it's really good. It is really good. But it's just like very, very small. So it's like you can't necessarily fit a lot of people. That you can't do whatever. So it's almost like a grab and go.
Yeah. I don't know though. If
well, like Remnant's
Tipton,
huge.
there's just so many old people in Tipton. And I don't want to sound mean.
There is.
But I feel like there's so much more old people than young people. And What?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. Yeah, you're making me think now.
I
Well,
feel like
our age,
I feel like
100%. Yeah, if you could try going like below 25, yeah, easily. Yeah, true. But the thing is about
like
if you did build a coffee shop,
mm-hmm.
is the potential. It's like
I mean,
it might be slow,
right,
initially, but it's like I think some people would actually like, maybe not like it over Quick Cup, because I think one of the reasons why people like Quick Cup is they can just swing in, boom, get their coffee and leave.
I mean, I just went to Quick Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Here,
like
so.
Yeah, you don't have to go into a shop and get it. But I also feel like having a place to go in and hang out, which Tipton doesn't, would actually do okay. Because that's the thing. The one at Brown County where I worked, it was also a hangout spot. Like there was a decent lobby. Like kids would come over after school and like hang out. Where I feel like maybe South Pole kind of is, but I think it's also more of like I get it and leave. We might hang out there like 20 minutes. But there was literally kids that would come from the school and be there for hours. Like we'd have after school rushes.
Oh, that's great.
And stuff. And so it's like if there was something like that downtown, you could definitely see kids walk up there. And like if you had Wi-Fi, if you had a TV, if you had whatever, people would come and hang out.
That's all you think of.
Yeah, 100%. Well, like besides obviously coffee.
Yeah.
But
free Wi-Fi.
That's all we got. That's all we sell. But I'm like, it's also the potential of Tipton eventually getting built up.
I hope so. Honestly,
and
I'm
more people
getting
moving
sad
this way.
of Tipton. I feel like it's just slowly down.
I don't think it's slowing down. I think it's actually just like stayed the same when it should be trying to grow.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the community, but I feel like there's a bunch of like even high school like kids, like even seniors. Like I feel like it's not cool to do that or something.
What?
You know, like even
they come to Tipton?
Just like regular stuff. I feel like you guys used to do.
Like
like junior leaders.
Okay.
For instance.
Yes.
Nobody does junior leaders. Like nobody did my year or the year
true.
Before that.
Bailey said that it went downhill very fast.
Your year, I feel like everybody did it, and Noah's year. I remember Noah. It was like huge, and everybody would do it.
Noah's last year, no, but yes, before that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, part of it I think in general with certain things like that was leadership started going downhill, and then also, no offense to Maddie got involved, and then she just kind of took over.
Yeah, true.
And she's not fun. Yeah, no offense to Maddie, but she was not near as fun as like me or Kyle or a few people. Like people always used to think I was immature, and there was definitely times I 100% was.
Yeah,
but also as a kid, like at one point it's like
everybody's immature at once.
Like yeah, like I'm a teenager. Like this is how I'm supposed to be. But I also made it more fun, and I think that's part of it. Is what made it great was I think some people didn't necessarily look forward to maybe going to junior leaders just because I was there, but I think for some people, me being there in certain instances definitely made it better because I could have been chaotic, and it made it fun, and we did dumb shit, and we whatever. You gotta make it fun.
I remember it was always fun, but like the few times
some people
I did it, I was just like, I'm sitting here doing nothing. This is really
like when me and Noah were together, or me and Kyle were together, and some of the people that were above me years past, that's what made it more fun. Like if Samuel was involved or whatever. But if you get certain people in there like Maddie, who is like, I guess because she was so much of like a rule follower and like, let's make a schedule, and I'm making the game plans and certain things, it kind of took the fun out of everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, yeah, we're supposed to be junior leaders, like future leaders, hopefully, of our community, whatever. But that doesn't mean you lose like your life. Like at one point, like that's the thing I told Freddie. I was like, I'm never gonna say that I'm old. Like I feel old in certain instances just because I feel like I'm seeing other people grow up. That's what makes me feel old. I don't feel old, and I never want to say I'm old, because when you start saying that shit, you're like there is something to what you say and the statements you make.
True.
And also it's when you start to see yourself as that's what you turn into.
Okay.
And
that's true.
And I think that's part of the reason why, like, when people retire and they get to a certain point and they start acting older and they're like, oh, I'm getting too old to do this, I'm getting too old to do this, it actually ages you faster, because it's like, oh, you're not being as physical because you say you're getting too old or whatever, and it actually causes shit to decline faster than it would have if you didn't just like stop doing the stuff you enjoyed. And that's the thing where I'm like, if life can't be fun and goofy, what's the point of life? Like, it's like you gotta do that.
You have to live your life. Come on.
Yeah, like I mean, there's definitely times and places where shit gets more serious, 100%. But I feel like if you don't still kind of have that little bit of like childhood joy, and you don't bring that with you throughout your journey, that's where things get gloomy and dark.
You and me talked about this, but you said like 18 to 25 is like your best like span of your life. Like that's where you can have the most fun.
I think so. I mean, I think it depends on the person. And well, maybe not. Okay, maybe not depend on the person, but it just depends on how you actually choose to live your life. I think it can be, but you can extend that 100%.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you can. It's when you stop having fun. Like some people get to the point where they're like, oh, I have a family, so I can't do this. And there are times where it's like, okay,
that's
certain
important,
things will slow you down. You can't do the exact same things you could have in the past. But if you just cut that out of your life completely, you're really just like if you're not socializing at one point, that's where it starts going downhill. And I think there is a thing where you're like, well, I have kids and I love doing that, and that's fun and that's joyful. And I think there is that side of things too. But you should still always have that relationship with like friends and go out and still kind of have fun and just
play some golf.
You can't be a parent all the time, and that's why like when you see some moms that never get away and they finally get that night out, they're like, oh my gosh, I needed this so bad. It's like, yeah, you do. Like you got to have that chance to be around people your age, not a child, and be around your friends and be able to let go and go get a cocktail and like drink and like do the dumb shit. Like part of that is the fun part about living is kind of throwing responsibility out the door every once in a while and being like, you know what, fuck it. I mean, I remember there's one time a few months ago that I was like, I didn't have anything to do on Saturday, even though I probably could have been working on something. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I really want to play video games. And I basically played COD. I played a bunch of things. I think I played some Halo. I played just video games basically all day. And I was like, I haven't done this in so long. I literally did it like one Saturday. Like I was on my PC. Yeah, I know. I ended up on my Xbox. I just played like all day. And I was like, I haven't done this in
I think you've sent me videos forever. And crap too.
Of like, this is kind of fun. Yeah. But then also at one point the next day, you're like, oh, I really didn't do anything all day. So like there is that give and take. Yeah, exactly. Like video games is very fun in the moment. And they're like, shit, I actually got to do some stuff. Yeah. But it is fun to have that little escape every now and again. Or like going to the movies or something, stuff like that. Oh, yeah. But. Good there, bud? He's good.
Got an itch.
By the way, I think we have made decent time. Did we? And I know we got to go create some burgers because we're having a little cookout tonight.
Oh boy!
But
let's do it. I had to put some bacon in it.
I hope you brought your swim trunks.
I did.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I hope you guys do enjoy. I hope to have Riley back on eventually and not have 3 month spans in between. Because it doesn't feel like it was that long. It really doesn't.
Bro, actually was.
It really was. Yeah. Like even the first time you came on to the second time, I was like, holy shit! It's been 2 months. I feel like it was 2 weeks. You know, it was like the year. It was like February or January even, and then the next time wasn't until like April, and we were like, "Holy shit!" Yep. Because it didn't feel like that. That's been that long.
It was the beginning of the year when
something like that. Yeah, it was cold, and then the next time was I think April roughly. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys did enjoy this podcast, and if you do, be sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget, 100 subs. We're gonna do a live stream, and I'm bringing you on. I want to do a live stream once we hit 100. Let's do it. So please be sure to subscribe, send it to your friends, force them to subscribe, go on their phones. Yeah. But I'll see you guys all next week. Peace out, everybody.